So hey y'all, and welcome back to the channel. I'm not really sure how today's video is going to go, but I feel like I needed to do like an update, kind of like where I am, what I'm thinking as far as the future of this channel, how I want to change up my content, just like the switch that's happening, you know, the way that I'm pivoting like in real life, right? So about 7-8 years ago, I remember sitting in my science lab at Fisk University. I was talking to two of my classmates about like what's important to us, like what's our priority. Will we choose our career, or will we choose starting a family first, right? And so at the time it was a male and a female, right? We were the best of classmates, you know, top of the class, you know, and we were really good at what we did. So their two answers was choose a career. They wanted to have a stable career first, you know, stable income and things of that nature. And for me, I said I wanted to start a family, right? I wanted to prioritize my prime years, you know, building a family, you know, while I'm in the best of shape, why not, you know, run around with the kids and things of that nature. So long story short, 7-8 years later, they have both went to medical school and dental school, and I have started a beautiful family. And it's like, at the time I really didn't understand like the importance of choosing those things. I just knew I didn't want to try to have a family, you know, after 10-13 years of school, because I wanted to go to school to be a dentist, right? And I was like, if I start a family after that, I would be working all the time. I would miss all of their first milestones, all of their first words, walks, and things of that nature. And I didn't feel comfortable with having my children in the hands of strangers, because at the time I was in school in Nashville, Tennessee with no family. I was thinking about that. I didn't want to dedicate my, you know, my prime years of figuring out myself, and you know, what I like, what I dislike in medical school, a high stress environment. So I did consider that. I didn't really like ponder on it, but it was just a general conversation, and as it turns out, like, we all did what we said we wanted to do, and I'm extremely proud of them, and I'm proud of myself as well. But I feel like throughout that time, it was like I really learned myself, what I'm interested in, what I'm good at, and things of that nature. So I was thinking, you know, going into science, to be a dentist or doctor, because I just knew I was good at science, I was good at math, but I didn't really know like my skills and interests outside of just school, right? So I'm so happy things happened the way it did. I did finish my biology degree, but I did go back to school. Like, I wanted to do nutrition at one point. I wanted to do early childhood education at one point. I realized that there's a way to teach people. You know, there's a way to share information, there's a way to make an impact, and I want to be the teacher for my children, right? Their first teacher, right? Their most important teacher. And so that's what we are, right? So that's that. But oftentimes I do look back at some things that, you know, I said I was going to do, some goals I set, and see how far I've come. So we're here now, about 8 years later. If you're new to the channel, you know, I'm Shadiamond. I'm a wife and homeschool mom to kids 6, 5, and 2, right? So that's that. But over time, I have felt like, you know, I needed to do something outside of just be at home and tend to the family, you know, cook, clean, things of that nature. I felt like I needed to have something that I could give some time to find a skill to work on, to contribute to something outside of just house related things. So a few months after I had my first daughter, who's now 6, I got into sewing and embroidery. It was just something to kill time, like a pastime. It was very soothing to me. And during that time, I was really struggling in school. I went from being like an all-A student, valedictorian in my high school class, to the first 2 years of me in college, you know, having a 3.9 GPA, to having my first daughter and not being able to remember things, not really being able to function in class, because, you know, she was a breastfed baby, and she didn't want to be around people. You know, she didn't want anyone other than me. She wouldn't take her bottles. So it was just a whole lot of stuff that went into like why I couldn't really perform in school the way I could. But pregnancy brain was a big part. Like, at one point I went from being able to hear somebody say something to getting it like that, to hearing something and not remembering it unless I write it down. So that's how that went. But during that time, I was like, I need something else, You know, I'm not really doing the best in school, and I just want something that's, you know, a hobby, a new hobby, something to get my mind off of what was going on, the transitions and stuff like that. So I got into sewing and embroidery, and it was amazing. I learned how to sew, I learned how to embroider. It eventually turned into a business, and I wanted to keep it with children. So I wanted it to be babies, toddlers, little kids, because I had a daughter at the time. And when I started the thing, I wanted to share things that I was actually doing with my daughter. I wanted to, you know, make all of the small things, because I was a first-time mom. I was into keepsakes. I wanted her name on everything. I wanted everything personalized, and that's how that went. So over time, as I thought of products that I would like myself, I would offer it to other moms as a way to kind of build community, because there was a big shift. You know, I went from being on campus, doing all my classes in person, to moving to a new city, doing everything online, not having any family around, any friends. So it was kind of like, you know, being in a community with people online would probably be the best thing. So, you know, I tried to do that through business. At the time, I didn't really understand that you could just find your people, that you can search out, that you can start YouTube, that you can do all the things. So, you know, I was just trying to find something to do. And then, you know, doing embroidery, it was a good source of income. It was very profitable. I was able to pay off the machine pretty early. So this is gonna be a super long video. So if you're interested in story time, stick around. If not, you're probably gonna check out another video. But during those times, I felt like, you know, I was so interested in making things. You know, I was getting a lot of sales, and it was keeping me busy, and I didn't really focus on school. I took semesters off, you know, and stuff like that. And so over time, I realized that in order to be good at anything, you have to put a lot of time, attention, and effort. And so I was watching videos, I was trying out the things, I was buying the fabrics, and I got really good at what I was doing, right? I got good at photographing products. I got good at you know, listing things on my site and getting customers and stuff like that. But in the meantime, I didn't really consider the fact that I was a new mom during postpartum period. Didn't really know about self-care, didn't really know about what I should be prioritizing, didn't really know about like setting good systems in terms of like, you know, schedules and things of that nature. It was more so like I needed something to take my mind off the fact that things are different now. And so that's how business went. So I'm saying all of this to say that I started business the wrong way, or I started like trying to build the wrong way. I didn't really have things together here at the house, and looking back like 6 years later, I'm like, I'm trying to undo some of those things that I didn't do in the beginning, or I'm trying to get back to the foundation of what builds a home, right? You know, like the schedules and the food, and, you know, figuring out how much time I need to devote to this and that, and then saying no to those things that would distract me from what I need to be doing, like what's my priority. So, you know, I don't know if you know, but like during the postpartum period, it's just a lot going on. Sometimes it's tough, especially if you don't have a village to help you, and I didn't have that at the time. So it's like, dang, the house looks some type of way. But I feel better when I do this, right? And so that's how that was. Long story short, 3 kids in, you know, been married since 2018, which is 6 years. So 6 years married, and things are totally different, right? Like, I know the help that I needed when I became a mom. I know the things that I need for our house to operate, you know, peacefully, to be in order, for the kids to develop good habits, good manners, and things of that nature. So I'm like, you know what, I don't want to put on I don't have a channel where it's not relatable. I don't want to have a channel where you do XYZ, 10 things to do, this, whatever the case may be. I want content that is relatable, content that I needed to watch myself when I was a first-time mom, second-time mom, third-time mom, or a mom coming across new topics and new challenges, you know, new discoveries and things of that nature. So it's like, yes, I love sharing homeschool activities, I love putting them together, but that's not really what I want to talk about, you know, all the time. I feel like if I show you what I actually do, for me personally, it would be easier for me to share that, as opposed for me to not necessarily stage a video based on some questions that I get, but I really just want to be more relatable, more authentic, and I want to prioritize what needs to be prioritized. Home is my first job, right? You know, caring for my husband, caring for my kids, cooking for the family, you know, organizing the house, cleaning the house, trying to, you know, budgeting, saving money, all of those things is top priority. And I feel like since I've been on social media, like promoting business things and, you know, working with different brands and stuff like that, it has kind of took up way more time than it needed to. And I just have to sit back and think about, like, what have I been doing that has been distracting me from some of the things I could tighten up on? What have I been doing that has led me to feel like I haven't been as present as I need to be with my kids, right? And so I've just been thinking about what I've been doing and how business is super challenging, right? So I'm good at finding the activities, the resources, the stores, letting you know where to get things from. But what I found challenging myself is just trying to promote. Like, I don't have time for that. I used to have time, but now I don't have time. I got 3 kids. I'm homeschooling. Like, they have limited screen time, and I just want to be present with them. Like, I want to be, you know, present. Mom is not busy on her phone. Mom is not busy trying to make sure she get 2,000, 3,000, 4,000 views on a video. You know, like, I feel like when it's organic, when it's authentic, you know, I've laid the foundation. So I've made the foundation. I've shown that I can create amazing content, right? So that's not my priority anymore. If I do continue to work with brands, it wouldn't feel so, you know, I gotta keep doing this, keep doing that, because at one point that's how I felt, you know, because it was bringing in a good source of income here. Although I don't really have to contribute, my husband covers everything for us. But it was like, for me as a homeschool mom, if I want the extra books or the extra memberships or the extra, you know, things that are not deemed as necessities, I feel like that's a way to contribute without, you know, going into the things that we need for the essentials, right? So that's kind of why I was doing it. But I'm like, in the meantime or during that time, I feel like I was slacking away at certain things. And it's true, you cannot do everything. So there's a time where I was juicing all of the, you know, all of the fresh fruits, making all of the smoothies, cooking from scratch, baking from scratch, making my own homemade snacks, to me transitioning to buying the clean snacks in stores, which nothing is wrong with, but I'm just talking about my story and how I just noticed the changes that I've made over time. Going from, you know, doing all the things from scratch, juicing and all of that, to buying the cleaner snacks, to having like sugar cravings, because like once you get to be, you know, stressed a little bit or a little bit overwhelmed, you start to change. You go from sugary to salty to sugary, comfort eating and things of that nature. So I found myself going through those different phases. But it was like, are you really thinking about where you're going wrong? Are you really thinking about, you know, where you need to change? And I was just thinking about, like, you know, with certain things with the kids, like, you know, sometimes they'll be like, you know, you're not playing with us a lot, or you know, can you watch me do this, whatever the case may be. And I'm like, if I'm editing a video, you know, I can't really do that right now. Or if I'm trying to film for a brand, like, I can't really do that right now. So it's like, I don't want to do that. I don't want to look back 6 to 8 years later and be like, I was so consumed in working with other people for their brands, trying to be a help with other people, and not doing the most for my family. Like, not making sure my kids are straight, not making sure they're feeling love and things of that nature. So I don't feel like I've done a bad job at being present, but I feel like I can do a better job at staying present, making sure priority is priority. Now, don't get me wrong, like, if I need to be like, hey, mommy has to work these amount of hours, or, you know, today, you know, I have to do this, I'm gonna do that. But I don't want it to be every single day where, you know, I'm so busy to the point where I tell the kids I can see it later, or we have to wait, or we can't go to this event, or we can't see this. Like, I want to be out and about. I want to be truly present, right? I want to see all the things. I want to experience all the things. I don't want to be at home creating videos or editing like for other brands on other people's terms. I want to do it for myself, right? So I feel like I've been talking for a long time, but I don't know, it's just a shift that I want to make, and I just want to share things that is, I don't know, my day to day. Like, I feel like if you share what you do on a daily, people can learn from that just as well as they can learn from a video that has 12 bullet points or 12 areas to work on. Not saying that I want to do any of those content types anymore, but it's like, I want it to be a little bit differently. I don't want to, you know, have the most professional video setup or images. Even with the activity box that I'm making, I feel like I've been feeling so pressured to get it out there, to make it look perfect, to, you know, just appear a certain way. And I'm like, although I know I have experience, doing those type of things, and I know what it takes to do that, I feel like the big picture is kind of missing. Like, what goes into getting those photos? You know, how are you doing that with kids, or how are you managing it with kids? Is it hard? You know, what are some things that you're doing to create a system or routine? I feel like that's more relatable even to me myself. I feel like other people can really understand why I do some of the things I do, why I offer some of the products, if they're able to know the backstory to some of the things. Like, it's not easy trying to work on a business and be a homemaker and, you know, be a wife, be a mom. Like, it's not easy at all. Business just add another level of stress to whatever, or another level of responsibility, you know, sometimes overwhelmed to things that's already like enough as it is, right? And the amount, like the type of education, the type of parent that I am, I'm very involved, I'm very engaged, I'm very hands-on with my kids, and I'm like, I just want to, in this season, I just want to simplify things, like simplify the platforms that I'm on. Like, I don't use the TikTok app, rarely on Facebook. I'm really just on Instagram and YouTube, and I'm okay with that. And then even with Instagram, I'm not really feeling it anymore like I used to be. So it's like, I know I still get brand deals there, you know, brands find me there, but it's like, I want to be like relaxed. I want it to feel very, not cozy, but I want it to feel very true to what it is, if that makes sense. So yeah, that's where I am. I'm also into prioritizing self-care now. In the beginning, it was like I didn't want my baby to cry, I don't want to go places, I don't want to leave them. But now it's like, I know that's something that's very important for my mental health. I know that's very important for me, like resetting and being the best mom, being the best wife, the best mom that I can be, pouring into my business. Like, I used to try to pour from an empty cup, right? Because I didn't really know how to, you know, pamper myself or take time for myself and just, you know, do nice things for myself. So, you know, being 6 years in, you know, I've learned a ton of things about being a mom, and that I definitely need to lean on people, even if it's not all the time, like periodically, like taking a few hours to myself, or, you know, letting other people, you know, see the kids, be with the kids. Like, that's very important for me as a mom. Like, now that I'm not breastfeeding anymore, I really understand that you have to take time to recharge, right? And so self-care is a way to do that. For me, just being present, you know, making memories, having experiences with the kids. For me, getting back to all of the healthy smoothies, the fresh snacks, the homemade snacks and stuff like that. Also getting more into ordering the house, decorating the house, prioritizing, you know, a schedule where, you know, I'm not overwhelmed with the amount of cleaning that I have to do, that I'm still being intentional about, of course, what I eat, what we take in and inhale, with this fragrances or what we put on our clothes. Like, I'm very into all the organic, the natural, the non-toxic things, but I just feel like over time I kind of slipped up with buying the most convenient, clean, healthy things instead of, you know, prioritizing doing those things myself. Because at the end of the day, like, I'm setting an example for my children, and I'm also setting an example for the people who consume the content that I create, right? And so yeah, so I have to think about some of the things that I'm doing. I don't know what this video is going to be titled, but if you can relate to this, you know, just let me know in the comments. But yeah, I felt the need to kind of share that. Like, sometimes we be looking for things to appear to be the person that's doing all of the things, when our day-to-day is more than enough to share, more than enough for people to learn from. Like, the things that make us the most interesting is the things that people, the things that we don't really consider, right? It can be mundane. Like, I shop at this store, people never go to that store, so it's interesting to them. I do this style of learning or this style of teaching, and people don't know anything about that. It's new to them. So it's like, my regular old life is so interesting to people who are interested in getting started with whatever the things that I'm doing, right? Whether it's homeschooling or breastfeeding. I breastfed all 3 of my kids, right? No formula ever. I did a home birth, right? I did unmedicated natural births, you know, in hospitals. You know, I finished a degree with 2 babies. You know, there are a lot of things that I've done that I consider, you know, I just did it, right? But that's very interesting to most people. It could be something to get a new mom started on her journey. She can know what to look out for, you know, some things that can help her on her walk. And so I just want to turn the content like that, you know, being a good example, of course, you know, being authentic, but of course not putting everything on the internet. I feel like, you know, you have to draw a line between what are you willing to share and what are you not willing to share. I share the learning journey, what I'm learning as a mom, parenting, things of that nature. I am married, have been married for 6 years, but I don't share anything on marriage, wouldn't share anything on my marriage. That's just not for the internet. Like, I feel like, you know, just know we're good, right? We're happy. So I chose a few areas that I would like to talk about, a few areas that I just know is my thing, and that is, of course, parenting, that is homeschooling, that's anything dealing with education. And it's also, you know, finding yourself after you become a mom, helping yourself thrive in the busyness of being a mom, and also like slowing down. I'm getting more into homemaking, intentional homemaking. I feel like, well, let's be honest, I didn't really know what homemaking was a few years ago. Like, I looked in people's bio and I saw homemaker, and I'm like, I never heard the term before. I never heard the term before. So it's like, what is homemaking? Like, what does this mean? You know, I know I'm a stay-at-home mom. Like, is that not enough? But I didn't really understand what homemaking was. And so I feel like when I got started, I wasn't like doing the things that I consider a good homemaker to do. Like, I was doing the things, you know, I was doing as best as I could with what I had, the knowledge that I had. But now that I'm, you know, almost 7 years in being a mom and being married for 6 years, I understand that there are some things that I need to go back to point B, right? So I got point A, I've been doing the things, but I want to be intentional. I want to get better at it. I want my home to be very peaceful. I want my children, my husband to be, you know, happy, content with, you know, whether that's what the house looked like or the just overall environment. So I'm getting into, of course, organizing, but I want to get into like oil diffusion, like essential oils. I want to get into like DIY, you know, house products. Of course, teaching the girls, you know, cooking or whatever, baking from scratch. I do that a lot, but I want to get into like baking breads. I also want to get into teaching the girls about sewing and stuff like that. So that's the kind of journey that I'm on. So I don't think my content will change a whole lot, but it won't be as, you know, listy or 10 things, whatever the case may be. I just really want to get on here and talk, and share more of what I'm thinking about. I don't want it to be so chopped up or feeling like I gotta hit every point that I wrote down, because sometimes it feels unnatural. Sometimes it can feel like, I don't know, kind of like rushed or whatever the case may be. So yeah, this was like part 1 of where I'm going with this. And I feel like not too much will change. I just want to be on here, like, actually share the process. So if you see like a activity box, just know that, look, it probably wasn't the easiest to get this done, right? You know, most of the store runs for kids. We are in the store for a few hours. Sometimes not being able to get the homeschool lessons done because I'm just out and about trying to get business things done. So it was like trying to find a balance, juggling certain things. It's not the easiest, but I feel like it's worth sharing the journey because I do enjoy it, and I do want to do things like for myself as a project for myself, you know, to contribute. Even with like the homeschool group and stuff like that, I just want to be more present. I don't want to be like trying to do the things for the internet, right? I want to be happy, content, like in real life. I want to be well rested, you know, because I don't have to do that much. Like, look, my husband is not requiring me to be on this internet trying to generate income. That's just something I was doing as a, you know, as a help me. It's just additional things, but I want to make sure that priority is priority. and that all things are good, you know, and stays that way, and then I can share from there. Like, if you get your foundation straight, you can always just pull from what you naturally do. But if you start out with a rocky foundation, then it's gonna be hard trying to go back and do those things. And I learned it the hard way. But the good thing is, over the past year or so, I have definitely corrected a lot of the things that I should have in the very beginning. So I'm able to share from a place of experience. And yeah, so that's all I have in this video, guys. I'll see you guys in my next one.